Hello and welcome. It is that of the 9th of December 2018. My name is Derek. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. Bitcoin managing to get up to this resistance level. I like to see support hold within this previous point, 34.20, up to about 34.60 on a bullish level, but really the 18 average within the time frame like such. As I stated this morning, feeling I could break out and make a move to this point, but I really wasn't too ecstatic that there was a good chance it would even break above it, or a spectacular one, as I figured there'd be at least some resistance here. However, if any type of manifestations can appear, sort of like a move back to the 18, maybe correct for the next 5-6 hours and start to break out, maybe we might see a good likelihood of testing about 4. But this video is going to be about Komodo and the interesting differential of two charts. So let's bring up Komodo. Let's first do the one on the Binance exchange. So within such, we can see from the October highs down, up and down, but we're really going to be focusing on short-term movements via that of the 4-hour time frame, maybe even definitely a little bit shorter as well. So therefore, this is Binance. And now let's take a look at Bittrex. Ooh, different, much different. Single hour time frame. There is Bittrex. There is Binance. Let me bring up. There we are. Much different chart. The price on Binance is down to 18.20, and the price of the Binance is staying in there, holding in, barely up, at 17.10. So there's a differential already of 11 basis points on such, which is about 5-6%, and I got better than such. I'm thinking, you know what? Let's arbitrage this. In that, the wallets are down, so there's more likelihood you're going to have these differentials. You just can't transfer Komodo from one exchange to another. And therefore, if you sell everything on one place, then there's nothing, you don't have any there. And I sold a lot of my Binance Komodos. I was thinking days ago, because there was moves, this was going on before. There was a time when Binance was doing, or this was the case before, Komodo was several percentages higher on Binance. And then the opposite happened. It was back to where you could actually, I'll show you in a second, but then I figured when the prices were pretty much par, let's not only get into Komodo on a Litecoin exchange, so I had to actually buy the Komodo, meaning I couldn't transfer it, which I normally would have done, and I tried to get the best price, but it was pretty much par. And then getting back into Bittrex a few days ago, same thing, buying in at par price. So what I decided to do within the 4-hour time frame was, well, first I want to notice this period here, because this is where I started, right here, December 5th, 11 stamp. And you can see this decline, decent move down. Yet if we look at the exact same timestamp on here, it's right there. A little bit different. So then I got data going back even a few periods. How much farther back, I'm not too sure how I'm going to get. But what I would do is I would put Notepad on the right side of the screen and this, and I can memorize two numbers in my head really fast. So I would take, like, say if I'm starting here, I can see the close where it says 1640. So I remember in my head, okay, 40, 20, and then I would just keep the highlight on this. So I'd write 1640, I'd write 1620, I'd see 1609, so I'd write that down. Then I would go, okay, so we're going to 1572, 1520, so I remember those two numbers. And then I'd write down 1572, 1520, and 1505, so on and so forth. And therefore, and what I've done is I've managed to sell a total of 229, buy 229 Komodo on Bittrex, sell 208 on Binance. I have like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 Satoshi Bitcoin more than I had before, which pays for my Binance fees and then some. So I just took this. So I got the December 1st, 3 o'clock. This is when the data I have starts, and on Binance, this is what the close was, and on Bittrex, same thing. So I put it into a spreadsheet, and then lined up the two numbers together, divide the two, so I get the ratio. A couple times they were exactly the same. Here, or maybe once, 1533. Well, so once it was exactly the same at 1533. And I've got a chart which will present, and this is the arbitrage, or the differential for the possible. So here we have it. It's supposed to be at 1 pretty much all the time, a little bit above or below. But here's a spot where even before this number would be higher, so that's why I'm probably going to get more data. It's a little tedious, but it's relatively easy, as I've shown how I did it. Just write numbers down. It took about 5 minutes, not even, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to write the numbers on Notepad. So it stayed around 1, had a spot where there was a small arbitrage of around up to 5%. These are closing prices. This doesn't show intraday, but what I like is it's a close at an exact same timestamp, so it gives you an idea of what the differential always was. But over the last little bit, it has maintained itself to be such, moving up to the 4 number, pulling back down to 2, and then up to the 110. But as even yesterday within the trades, what I was noticing was that when I seen this happen, this move that came up to the 1900 handle, obviously this is a spot where I would sell. And having my strategy for the reason why I got Binance or Bittrex, why I got back into Komodo there, was I should be arbitraging it. Because if these opportunities are becoming available, even when the wallets are online, let alone when they're offline, that they can become available, then you can do it. Now, the problem with Bittrex, with the orders, is that they remove them over after 28 days. And I can have situations where I could have a lot of buy orders, and even sell orders as well, of course, where mainly the buy ones, where they might need to stay in for a long period of time. And when you got multiple amounts, multiple codes, it's not fun to have to delete them, put them back in. And then especially if you're playing on the lower cost coins like 20, 50 Satoshi, like Red Coin as an example, then you're getting, it sucks to have to sell, like take out a 25 or a 40 bid and then put it back in when you would have been after 28 days on the upper end of that priority scale, and then move right back in line. However, I figured if I do the strategy on one site where it's to try to gain coins and have a lot of orders, I can do that on a place like Binance. And in my strategy where everything's worth the X amount of Bitcoin, it's very unlikely I ever go 28 days without ever canceling all my orders as it is anyway. So I figured let's just do that strategy there. So I got my orders here. I logged on to the Bittrex site and noticed that I didn't have my orders filled. Now the prices already went up and back down to the point when this period was already over. And it happened even again before because I ended up buying back immediately down in here when the price came back down, because that's when I noticed I seen it went all the way up there. I didn't even sell near the top. I sold close to like 17 and a half, somewhere around here, 1750, 1749 maybe. So I bought back at around 1600 change. Then I put a sell order in for like, I figured, well, I could go up here, but why don't I just put one sell order in around here and one up here, which is what I did. And I only, of course, got the one on Binance. But as this was happening, none of my Bittrex sell orders were hitting because their price action didn't go up. So as I figure within, and I'm going to use an example of TUSD for what I would feel is going to happen within the chart that I created, as TUSD compares one US dollar against another. So basically I'm comparing one Binance against another as well. And right now their wallets have been down on maintenance for several days and even weeks now. Well, the way I look at it is the following. Those wallets are going to come back as it is anyway. And if they don't, and they're all, then Komodo's done. So it's basically a going to work strategy. Because within this, I was talking about arbitraging this. And we can see in here that in September, I mean, this is supposed to be at 1. This goes up to 5% move. And then over a 20% move. And it stabilized for a while before coming back down. Up again, back down. Up again, back down. And it would stabilize maybe at around 1 for a while. We can see how that support has now been resistance. And even the support of where the resistance is, it's falling through. This is pretty much an even par basis. But whenever these big moves happen like this, it's just got to pull back. And I'm thinking no differently here. So when this pulls back, if this pulls back to 1, I'll arbitrage it back. I'd even consider things like, okay, let's just assume that I'm paying an extra 0.5% more, even 1% more to get the buyback. Well, technically, if I did about 10% before and then I lose 1, I get a 9%. And now I can just do the whole thing back over again. And when this goes way back up, I'll just do the same flip, if you will. But right now, of course, again, with the wallets, as it plays out, they're down. And they're going to come back up. To me, that's like a guarantee. Now, as far as any fundamental analysis about this coin, and especially in comparison to the previous, well, if you tell me something, oh, it's not good because of this, or it's great because of this, or whatever, I appreciate your comments. I was going through what people were talking about, multiple different sources, because I've heard talk on the JSNIP 4 channel about it, but more so when I first started getting into this about a year and a half ago. Some of the commenters, people were just talking about how great of a coin that this happens to be. This and PivX. So these are the ones I'm thinking, you know what, PivX, I decided, you know what, I'm going to play that to try to gain coins, but I'm not talking about that there. And I should even think about arbitraging that one as well, or at least check to see the differential. But this is Komodo. And if it's going to be a solid coin, the wallets are going to work out. But I can remember back in times in here, what would happen is you would see situations in which one market would rally, whether it be Bittrex or Binance. And for maybe a 10, 20, 30-minute time horizon period, there were great arbitrage opportunities where maybe the price would go from somewhere maybe from 18 to 20 here, and yet 18 to 24 on another, or 18 to 22 even, on another place, which would then give you the live arbitrage. And then you can, at that point, transfer Bitcoin and Komodo back and forth, because you'd have a situation where there's a sweet arbitrage. You could sell everything on one site and buy everything back there, flip it back in a half hour, 45 minutes later, everything's good to go, but you got free either Bitcoin and or Komodo on the swap. And that is it. So yeah, one site like Bittrex, I'm trying to just gain Bitcoin by making everything worth the same amount of Bitcoin. And then on Binance, if I sell for 1 unit of Bitcoin, I'm going to buy however many Komodos I can get back. So all this extra arbitrage is doing what I'm trying to do, period. I just gained over 20 coins, yes. I gained 21 1/3 coins. I would have to sell like 210 of them at a 10% move to get that. And yes, I'll play for 10% and even 20% and 15% moves, but to sell 200 at a time, no. It doesn't happen for me. That's a lot, because I don't know I don't got many coins left on Binance. I got one more play left, if it does it. But I was selling at around 1850 on Binance and buying at 17 and under on Bittrex. So now this is went from like 1850, and that was the bid. The ask was 1860 at the time. Here, this is now went up to 1710, and I was getting, and I bought it. I took the ask price once at 17 flat, and I put a bid order in at 167 even, 168, and it actually came through nicely. So thank you for tuning in to this video, and have yourself a great day.